Hi there, Tanya. Welcome, friends, to Stampin' Peace with Mary Nabe. I'm so happy you're here this evening, and I've got a fun technique demonstration for you today. Just very quickly, reminder that we are now less than 2 weeks to the end of celebration. There's still plenty of time to take advantage of this promotion and get some freebies. It's a wonderful time to join my team, the Merry Stampers, and I would love to have you. So please consider the joining offer. And I know I say this, have said this in the past, but truly, I believe that this is the best joining offer we've ever had. And it's the first time in my history of nearly 15 years that Stampin' Up! Has offered 3 options for the starter kit. So I think to date, my team and I have added 9 people to our team. So we're up to around 70-ish. I haven't taken a recent count, but lots of great things are happening. We're getting some new people in there that are excited to be participating and sharing their creativity and learning right along with all of us. And hobbyists are most welcome, just as business builders are. The majority of people on my team are hobbyists, or happy stampers as we call them. So you would be invited to our private Facebook group to share creative ideas and to get some creative inspiration from others. We ask each other questions. We help each other out if somebody's short on a project or a product for a class, something like that. And in March, I'm actually adding a second Facebook group just for my team. Anybody on the team that would like some training in business building, we're going to make that a separate or second Facebook group for our team, and people can tell me they want to join that or not. So we've got the creative portion happening, and then we've got some business portion happening too. So it's all good, and I'd love to have you. All right, it is Wednesday, February 15th. And I'm going to flip my camera around now, and we're going to get started then with tonight's technique demonstration. And I've got some new products to show you also. And while I'm flipping my camera around, would you please share this live video and invite others to join us here in my Stampin' Peace studio this evening? Okay, so approximately, Stampin' Up! Is doing something new this year. Approximately, I think it's going to be 4 times a year. They will be introducing an online exclusive collection of products. So March 1st is the date for customers to be able to purchase the online exclusives. And demonstrators, another great reason to join Stampin' Up! Is that we get to pre-order the month in advance so that we can show you and get you excited about the new things to come and start using these products in our businesses. So there are other exclusive products coming, but today I'm just going to show you this much. This is the Hello, I always forget. Hello, Irresistible suite. It's got this gorgeous designer series paper. And perhaps you noticed while I was showing this that there are two former colors. They were once in colors that will be coming into our collection with the new annual catalog. And those are Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon. So if you were a fan of one of those, you'll be excited to know they're coming back. I don't know what else is happening in terms of the Stampin' Up! Colors, but I'm hearing lots of excitement about those two returning colors. This is the Irresistible Blooms bundle that coordinates with that DSP. Really fun to work with. And each of these images here has a die to cut them out, which I love. And then we've got these extras that these lines and circle things, we'll play with those another day, and this wreath shape. And then it's also got some leaves that it will cut out, and they look like these. And there's 3 of each. I love it when we get multiples of those little dies so that we can cut out several at once. But I really like it. I love the sentiments in here. I like the font. It's just pretty cheerful, and I think it will be very versatile in your collection. We also have these loose frosted dots. They are not adhesive back, they're loose. And I'll demonstrate how to put these on with just a little dot of our multi-purpose glue. But they come in various colors. The pink, it looks like a petal pink in there. This is the pretty pink, or Pretty Peacock, I believe. And then this gold daffodil. But really pretty, they're frosted. So a little bit different look than some of those glossy ones, okay? Someone called them love beads. Oh, that's funny. Love it. Okay. And also tonight, I'm using the Naturally Gilded Specialty DSP. These are the 3 prints and the 3 colors that they come in. You'll get 2 sheets of each, 12 by 12. So 6 sheets in a package. And as I said, we'll be using one of those this evening. So let's go ahead and get started right now. And if I didn't say already, I'm demonstrating the floating strips technique. And we're going to do it 2 ways. And I love this technique because it's super versatile. You can use it with cardstock. You can use it with your favorite DSPs. You can mix and match. You can cut the strips the same width or vary them. So we're going to make a couple cards this evening for me to show you. So this is that Naturally Gilded Designer Series paper. I've cut this to 5 inches by 3 3/4 inch. And I also have a piece of our window sheets. It may be hard for you to see there, but the window sheets can be found in our annual catalog. They do come in the size 12 inch by 12 inch. So you can check that out there. But I cut this size also to 5 inches by 3 3/4. So now I'm just going to make some vertical cuts in this DSP. And for this first demonstration, I am going to vary the width of them. And as I'm cutting, I want to lay them in order of how I'm cutting them. So 1/2 inch, then I'm doing a 3/4 inch. Then I'll do a little skinny one here. This is 1/4 inch. And another 1/2 inch. You can make them whatever you like. I think for this technique, if you stay under like 3 3/4 inch, you get the best effect. And then this one I'm gonna do, let's see, I'll do this at 3/4 inch. And then finally, I'm going to finish off by cutting this in half. So these are approximately 1/2 inch wide each. Now, as I adhere these to my window sheet, I'm going to be using multi-purpose glue. And the reason I want to use this white liquid glue is so that I have a chance to move around any of the strips if I need to. Hey there, Gwen, watching all the way from Australia. You know, social media is really cool. I was going through some comments on my YouTube channel earlier today, and somebody from Germany had watched and commented, and I love seeing where people are watching from. And it just goes to show you something as simple as stamping and card making is very widespread across all cultures, and you know, creativity can help us bond with one another, just like music. It's one of the great things about the arts. And I'm just placing these on here. I'm not pressing down too hard yet, just because if I get to the other side and feel the need to adjust my spacing a little bit, it's easier to do that. That's the reason for the multi-purpose glue. And as you can see, for this technique, I like to start out with the same size DSP and the same size window sheet. And of course, because you're adding spaces between the strips, you're likely not going to use them all, right? You can see I have one left over here. But no worries, that's something I can use on another project. Oh, I could even put it on the inside of the card. Okay, we're going to give that just a minute to dry and hold that in place. And while that's happening, I'm going to get the rest of my things ready for my card. This Gilded specialty DSP is on vanilla. So for this example, and it might not look that way from up above, but I'm using a very vanilla thick cardstock for my base. And of course that measures 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and I scored at 4 1/4 for the fold. For this card, I am using Evening Evergreen. Really, you could use any color. You could even use like gold embossing, something like that. Black would be pretty on here, navy. You can put just about any, you know, deep, rich color on this with the gold, and it would look very nice. I chose Evening Evergreen. Now, I will tell you, I searched in my retired product to see if I had any Pretty Peacock ink or cardstock left, figuring I would not, because so many times over the last couple of years, people have asked me for that. So every time I found some in my stash, somebody scooped it up right away, which is pretty much what I thought. But I thought I might have the ink left, and I don't. So I've chosen to use Evening Evergreen. You know what? It's a little, not quite centered. I want to go a little bit. I had it pretty close to the bottom there. I'm going to try to get more in the middle this time. That's better. And so this piece measures 1 1/4 inch by 3 inches, and I'm just going to leave it as a rectangle. The Evening Evergreen cardstock measures 4 1/4 inches by 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to punch each end with one of my very, 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 very favorite punches, the Banner's Pick-a-Punch. I'll be sad if this one retires, but the sadness never lasts for very long because I always know there's more good product coming. But it is one I use a lot. All right, so let's put this card together. Now, we call this the floating strip technique, and obviously we want these DSP strips to appear that they are floating above the card base. So this is where we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to make that happen. And when you're adding your dimensionals, just make sure you are adding it behind the strips, because if people are seeing them between those strips, it's not going to really look like they're floating so much. I've got my little ones here, so I'm going to use several. And it's a large area that I want to be sure it stands up. I did open a package of the larger size dimensionals yesterday, but still, as I'm sitting here working, it seems I keep grabbing the small ones for some reason. I just grab without looking. Okay, so here's those strips floating above the card base. That's the whole purpose of using that window sheet. And then I'm going to add my evening evergreen strip across here. And of course, you could add any sentiment you like. And I'm going to pop this up too. You can punch or die cut the sentiments. Whatever floats your boat. You should never, ever, ever feel like you have to copy a project exactly. If you want to, that's fine. But if you want to deviate, put your own spin on the project, you absolutely should. You be you. And then finally, I'm going to add a couple of these loose frosted dots. Now, since they don't have any adhesive on the back, I'm going to just put a dot of glue where I want each of those to go. And then I'll use my take your pick, the putty end, to pick up. Well, that's not the color I want. You can see this pretty peacock color is just a little bit more blue than the evening evergreen, but it still has that very dark, rich look about it. There's also black dots in here. Come on. Of course, they all flip upside down. I think they're black. Oh no, maybe that's just, I guess, the way the light's hitting those dark ones. Come on. You can see on the back side, they're super shiny. And then I'll just set that aside for the glue to dry under those frosted dots, and we're all set. So what do you think? So this is a very easy floating strips technique, okay? Notice again, I want to remind you that when you have a DSP design, you're really going to get the best outcome, the best wow, when you keep the strips in the order that you cut them, okay? And again, I could have done all half-inch strips here, but I chose to add a little variety by varying the width of the strips. So I started with 1/2 inch, I did 3/4 of an inch, and I did a 1/4 of an inch. And I think for this technique, really, if you stay under 3/4 of an inch, that's best, okay? All right, I'll set this aside because somebody wants to win that, I'm sure. And then let's move on to our second one. Make sure I have all my pieces here. So here I have just another piece of, or a piece of the Hello Irresistible Designer Series paper. It's cut 3 by 3 inches, and I've cut my window sheet to the same size, 3 by 3. Now this time, I'm going to make my strips all the same width because I want you to see the difference. And you can compare and you can think about which you like better. Maybe the DSP itself would dictate how narrow or wide you would cut your strips, or if you would want to cut them all the same width or vary them a little bit. So since I'm cutting at 1/2 inch intervals or increments, that 3-inch square gives me 6 strips. Now remember, we're going to be doing some spacing. Noreen, the putty, if I'm holding it up like this, I'm turning it clockwise. And you just want you barely even turn it. You just want the slightest amount to show up. Okay? Just barely, barely, barely turn it. Okay, again, I'm working with my multi-purpose glue. I want to have that ease of being able to move my strips around if I need to adjust the spacing. You could even vary the spacing between your strips. You could do super teeny tiny, like a 1/16 of an inch, or more like an 1/8 of an inch here, or you could spread it out a little bit more. I personally, no good reason why, except maybe that's the way I learned it, was to space. I tend to space them evenly. I suppose once in a while I've varied the spacing, but typically not. Most often I would vary the width of the DSP strips. And that looks pretty good to me. I didn't quite fill the entire square of window sheet. Can you see there's a little bit left there? But to do the same spacing, that, it's not even a 1/16 of an inch that would be hanging over the edge. So I'm going to consider that an extra. So now, instead of just putting this on my card front like I did the other, because I had it all pre-measured and cut, for this, I'm actually going to die cut a shape. And so I've got my Stylish Shapes dies. If you don't have these, you should add them to your list because they are awesome. It's nice just to have the basic shapes in several sizes. And then I'm just going to roll it through my fancy boho blue machine. Hint, hint, boho blue. I think that's going to be a new color we'll be seeing. Probably an in color, because it's one we haven't seen before. And I rolled back and forth just because because of the thickness of the window sheet with the DSP. Yes, the stylish shapes are back in stock. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. But oops. See, I could have left that dry just a little longer. And it looks like it cut pretty well, except on this one end. So I'm just going to take my snips and go right along that. Oh, just that little bit. And there you have it. Now you could do any kind of shape. You could, I would not suggest punches. I think the window sheets are too thick to use with punches, but any of the dies should work. You could use hearts, you could use a flower shape, a leaf shape, anything you like. All right, let's put the rest of our card together. And I'm going to do a little more stamping. This time I am stamping with soft seafoam. And the card is basically, you're going to see a lot of soft seafoam on this. So a lot of tone on tone, but I've got a little splash of color for it as well. So I'm going to use this sentiment. I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend, which I could say about all of you, right? Who would have thought? I mean, years ago, if somebody told me you can make friends just by being online, I would have thought that's crazy. How could that be? I'm very personable, but that would have been a hard concept for me. But with COVID and everything and the advances in technology and social media, I have made friends. And I'm sure you have too, right? I love being able to connect with people this way. All right, I'm going to add this. So my dimensions here for the white are 4.5 by 3 1/4. And for the layer of soft seafoam, I have 4 5/8 by 3 3/8. And I'm going to put this right in the center of my card. Next, I'm going to adhere my floating strips, circle. So many, oh my gosh, 50, 51? So many of you are on tonight. I'm so excited. That's awesome. You guys have made my day. In fact, I think you've made my week having that many people on. Special reminder, still working on that new blog of mine, but I think you'll like the new blog structure. And you can go to stampinpiece.com. We're no longer using TypePad. I'm on WordPress, so if you see TypePad come up when you type in Stampin' Piece, ignore that. Go right to stampinpiece.com, and it will take you to the new site. I saw some, I'll say nearly final sketches of my new logo, so I'm excited about that. Can't wait to get it up. She's a new mom. The person doing it for me is a new mom, and you know how that goes. I just don't want to put extra pressure on her or anything like that. So I'm just taking my time, and she's doing great work. I'm excited. And then she'll do variations of that logo so I can use them in other places, on flyers, my newsletters, all kinds of things. All right, so now I'm going to die cut these flowers, and I simply stamped, oh, I was going to stamp on, well, that's all right. I was going to stamp on white. You know what? I do want to stamp on white. I don't think the white will stand out a little more. I don't know why I pulled that soft seafoam out. So let me just do this quickly. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like that better. Gives me a little more punch. I love that our plates for the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines are numbered. It's so helpful. Okay, I used these earlier, so I left my washi tape on. And we may not use all of these leaves, but I thought we can stamp and die cut them all at once. So why not? So if we use them on this, all on this card, fine. And if not, then I have some extras to tuck in the envelope that I can use on another project later. Okay. Here we go. And I want to tell you about my flower there. What I did for the flower was I took Flirty Flamingo ink and I just stamped it on one of the DSP sheets. And actually I stamped off first because I stamped off onto scrap paper because I didn't want it to be quite so bold when I stamped it against or onto the DSP, because in the DSP that I used, the colors are super soft. Let me show you. This is what I used. So I could have stamped with daffodil, I could have stamped with petal pink, but there was some of this light flirty flamingo color in there. So that's what I did. So I inked up that flower stamp with flirty flamingo, stamped off the cardstock. Actually, I stamped off twice and then onto the DSP. So I just wanted to show you that. So let's put this together and we'll be all finished. I'm going to I love this technique. I haven't done it in a very long time, and to be honest, let me show you the card. I came across a card. I went to my stash to pick out a card for somebody, and I came across this one, and I was like, oh, there it is. That's my idea for this week's Facebook Live. I'm going to reintroduce, or maybe some of you first-timers, introduce you to the floating strip technique. And let's see here. Oh, I kind of like that. Maybe this over here for a little balance. I like that. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots of the multi-purpose glue on, and I'm just going to tuck these leaves under my floating strip circle and that flower. And I'll add these as well. And this little one, I think I'll put just to the right of the sentiment. And there it is. So the here I use the Irresistible Blooms bundle, and we've incorporated the Hello Irresistible DSP as well as the Naturally Gilded Specialty DSP, plus our window sheets, all right? Plus the window sheets. And I believe that the window sheets are very inexpensive. You only get 2 sheets, but I want to say it's like, I don't know, $5 or $6. So very reasonable, and especially because you're only using a small bit of that on your cards. All right. So what do you all think? What do you all think? Would anybody like to receive one of these cards I made tonight? Anybody interested in that? If you are, please type in the comments now, Hello Irresistible. That's the name of the DSP and the name of the suite. Hello Irresistible. Okay. Debbie says, yes, she would like to win. Okay, Hello Irresistible. Let me, before I go off, let me scroll back and see if I missed any questions tonight. Pam Simmons, you are right. Some of us met online first, and then we got to meet in person. Pam and I met in, I believe it was Atlanta, at a Stampin' Up event, so that was pretty cool. Pam, you don't like yellow and pink together? Oh, that's funny. It's like pink and red. I have a hard time with that, like the magenta and red. But Hoda Kotb was wearing it the other day, and I was like, she really pulls that off well. So did Jenna. Okay, if you haven't done this technique yet or in a long time, I hope you'll give it a try. What do you think? Would you give it a try? And when you do give it a try, let me see. Oh, did I miss one here? Yes, Debbie, jump back to the beginning so you can see how I started out with the technique. Who was that said about the glue? Noreen's going to give it the method to try, the technique. Jen, are you talking about the multi-purpose glue? You said you're having trouble with the narrow end. I will tell you, I don't know that I've ever used the thick end. I suppose I have occasionally, but I don't even think about it. One thing I will say with this glue, it is very helpful if you can store it upside down with the small point down. The reason being, the glue is always going to the tip, and glue is not going to dry out in that little tip. Okay. Now, sometimes I notice with mine, it'll get kind of gummy, and I'll just pull that off. But if you're having trouble with that tip, that may be what's wrong. Let me see. Yes, the shot glass works great. Look, I've got one right here. My Ohio State one. That works perfect. Jenny on my team gave me this. Jenny Gilbert. I've got another little stand. Oh, here's another one. Pam Simmons and I, when the time we met, I think she was at this. This is the event we were at when we met in person for the first time. Okay. But yes, Jen, give that a try. And if you have like a sewing needle or a real small pin, you might even try just poking that a little bit. Or if you can get, I tend to not ever take my tops off, so I don't even know if you could. I would say take a pin to that and push it in. The other thing, if it gets stuck, hold it over a wastebasket and just squeeze really hard, and it'll likely push that stuck part through. Plastic medicine cups, yes, pill bottles, anything like that works. Sometimes we're always looking for a fancy solution, and there's something right there in our house. I've rearranged things again in my craft room, and I'm looking for a certain size container that I can't find. I suppose there's something on Amazon, but I keep searching around my house thinking there might just be something here. So we'll see what happens. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this evening. I hope you picked up some new tips and tricks and enjoyed the stamping technique, and that you will do this technique very soon. And when you do this technique, I would love for you to take a picture of your card and post it right here on Stampin' Peace with Mary Nabe. That way we all get to see your beautiful creation. And all of us has a little bit different take on, what do I want to say? A little bit different take on creativity. We have our own style. We have our own thoughts of how we want to put things together. So definitely pull out some of your favorite papers and give this a try. Have a good night. And oh, I should say, I am not going to have a Facebook Live on Friday. I'm dedicating to all day tomorrow and most of Friday to writing content for my blog and adding some new features to the website. And because I'm not a tech person, and the class is really helping, I'm thrilled I'm taking this class. But it's pretty intense. I feel like it's a college class, to be honest. But I'm going to be spending lots of time at the library the next 2 days, because that'll take me out of the house, out of my studio, so I won't be so tempted to just sit and create and write tutorials and those things. I really want to add some of these features to my website. All right, take care until we meet again. Happy stamping, and stay safe and healthy. And let's say a prayer for all the people that are hurting in our world. I mean, the tragedy at Michigan State University this week, I'm just, and the places that have had flooding, so many people are going through so much. So let's just keep good thoughts for everybody. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.